Welcome to Fitness Decoded. You don't need another diet. You don't need another meal plan scribbled onto the back of a receipt or a calorie counting app that buzzes with guilt every time you look at dessert. What you need, what we all need, is to start eating like we actually love ourselves. Not the version of ourselves we hope to become when the number on the scale finally drops. Not the Photoshop fantasy we chase on screens, but the real, living, breathing person we are right now, the one who wakes up every day and tries again. That's where this journey begins. Because before food ever fuels our muscles or impacts our waistlines, it speaks to our relationship with ourselves. Across YouTube, there's a whirlwind of trends that promise quick fixes and total transformations. Videos with flashy titles and cinematic thumbnails. I ate like a Victoria's Secret model for 30 days. Why you should try the carnivore diet. What I eat in a day to stay shredded. Each one taps into something primal in us, the desire to optimize, to evolve, to escape the feeling that we're somehow falling short. But as we explore these trends together, we're going to peel back the hype and ask, is this about health, or is it another performance? Is it science-backed nourishment, or just another show for likes and follows? Let's start with one of the most viral, the what I eat in a day genre. It looks innocent enough at first glance. Influencers, fitness coaches, and models walking you through their daily meals. A morning smoothie with spirulina, a lunch bowl with quinoa, kale, and grilled salmon, and a dinner that's either shockingly simple or surprisingly decadent. Some of these videos gather millions of views. Why? Because they promise an intimate look behind the curtain. We think, if I eat exactly like them, maybe I'll look like them. Maybe I'll feel like them. But here's the thing, this trend, while visually pleasing and sometimes educational, often lacks context. You don't know how much physical activity these people are doing. You don't know their metabolism, medical history, or genetic factors. You don't see the off-camera moments when they deviate or struggle. And often, the portion sizes, macro counts, and ingredient lists reflect an idealized, highly curated version of life, not reality. Dr. Lindsay Kite, a body image researcher and co-author of More Than a Body, explains this phenomenon. When people see these kinds of videos, they subconsciously compare, not just bodies, but lifestyles. It reinforces the idea that health is visible, and if we mimic the behaviors of visibly fit people, we'll achieve the same results. But health isn't one size fits all. Scientifically, she's right. The Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics has emphasized for years that individualized nutrition is essential, that there is no universal ideal way to eat. So while what I eat in a day can provide inspiration, it can also perpetuate a toxic cycle of comparison if we're not mindful. Next, let's move to intermittent fasting, a trend that exploded in popularity over the last decade and continues to dominate fitness spaces online. On YouTube, you'll find dozens of personal experiments. I tried intermittent fasting for 30 days. Here's what happened. The shredded truth about fasting. Oh mad. One meal a day changed my life. Intermittent fasting typically involves eating only during a set window of time, like 8 hours a day, and fasting for the remaining 16. Some take it further, eating only once per day. There is, undeniably, some intriguing science behind it. Studies have shown that intermittent fasting can improve insulin sensitivity, support cellular repair through autophagy, and even enhance mental clarity. A 2019 study published in the New England Journal of Medicine found that intermittent fasting may lead to improvements in blood pressure, cholesterol, and inflammation. But here's where storytelling meets reality. It's not a magic bullet, and it's certainly not for everyone. People with a history of eating disorders, individuals with certain hormonal conditions, and even active athletes with high energy needs can suffer negative effects when restricting food for long periods. So what happens when someone with a full-time job, a high-stress lifestyle, and a past of emotional eating jumps into a 16-8 or 20-4 fasting protocol just because it worked for someone else on the internet? Often, they burn out. They binge during eating windows. They feel shame when hunger strikes early. That's not healing. That's another form of punishment wrapped in the language of wellness. And this is where mindful eating comes in, not as a trend, but as a philosophy. A way of eating that encourages presence, curiosity, and compassion. It's not about rules or windows or macros. It's about noticing, tuning in, asking, am I really hungry or just stressed? Do I actually enjoy this food? Or am I eating it because it fits a plan? Mindful eating has roots in Buddhist practice but has since been studied extensively in Western science. Research from the Center for Mindful Eating shows that people who practice mindful eating report fewer binge episodes, better digestion, and a more positive relationship with their bodies. When we eat mindfully, we listen not just to cravings, but to satisfaction. We begin to distinguish between physical hunger and emotional hunger, and we learn to respond to both with care, not judgment. Now let's pivot to the trend of raw food cleanses. On the surface, it sounds virtuous. Fresh produce, minimal processing, eating close to nature. These cleanses often show up as 3-day or 7-day detoxes where people eat only raw fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. YouTube is littered with thumbnails of glowing skin, flat stomachs, and captions like "I've never felt better." And for some, short-term raw food diets can indeed lead to a lighter, more energized feeling, especially if their baseline diet was highly processed. But here's what those videos rarely tell you. Raw food diets can lead to deficiencies in protein, iron, vitamin B12, and calcium over time. They can be low in calories and difficult to sustain, leading to fatigue and eventually rebound eating. A meta-analysis published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that long-term adherence to a strict raw food diet was associated with significant menstrual irregularities in women and reduced bone mass density. The message: raw doesn't always mean better. Your body needs warmth, diversity, and balance. Cooked foods often offer better nutrient absorption. Take tomatoes, for example. Cooking them increases the bioavailability of lycopene, a powerful antioxidant. Eating like you love yourself doesn't mean eating like a rabbit. It means feeding your body with wisdom, not fear. Another trend we must examine is the so-called cheat day. Popular among bodybuilders and fitness influencers, cheat days are often positioned as a reward. One day a week where anything goes. Pizza, ice cream, burgers. The idea is that this brief period of indulgence prevents binging the rest of the week and resets the metabolism. But here's the issue. It frames food as something to earn. It positions hunger as an enemy to conquer Monday through Saturday, only to be rewarded with a caloric free-for-all on Sunday. That's not balance. That's a cycle of restriction and guilt disguised as structure. Research published in Appetite Journal revealed that rigid dieting, including scheduled cheat days, can increase the likelihood of disordered eating patterns and reduce overall dietary satisfaction. Our brains don't respond well to black and white thinking when it comes to food. Instead, what's been shown to work long-term is flexible dieting, allowing all foods in moderation, focusing on nutrient-dense options while still making space for pleasure. Loving yourself means not needing to cheat on your diet because you never felt imprisoned by it to begin with. Let's not forget the impact of social media in shaping these perceptions. Platforms like YouTube and TikTok don't just reflect trends, they manufacture them. The more extreme, the more aesthetically pleasing, the more likely a video is to go viral. Algorithms reward transformation, fast, dramatic, visible transformation. And this creates a dangerous feedback loop. Creators feel pressured to push boundaries, to show ABS after only a week of change, to claim that their method is the one true path. And viewers, caught in the excitement, try to emulate without always understanding. This is where we must pause and ask ourselves, are we eating to nourish, or are we eating to perform? Are we choosing a lifestyle, or choosing a filter? Because eating like you love yourself doesn't go viral. It doesn't look dramatic. It looks like cooking at home even when no one's watching. It looks like choosing whole foods not out of fear, but out of gratitude. It looks like putting the fork down when you're full, not because the clock says your fasting window is over, but because you're finally listening. You don't need a trend. You need trust in your body, in your intuition, in the quiet wisdom that's always been there beneath the noise. The truth is, science will always evolve. New diets will rise and fall. But the power of eating like you love yourself, that never goes out of style. Keto flips the traditional food pyramid upside down. Instead of focusing on carbs as fuel, it teaches your body to burn fat through a metabolic process called ketosis. Scientifically, this has merit. In clinical settings, the ketogenic diet has been used for decades to manage epilepsy. More recently, research has explored its potential benefits for weight loss, type 2 diabetes, and even certain neurological conditions. A 2020 study published in Frontiers in Neuroscience found that a ketogenic diet may improve brain energy metabolism and reduce neuroinflammation. Sounds promising, right?